Call the December 4th meeting to order. Please stand up for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a roll call, please.
President Mayo,
Here.
Councilman Howell,
Here.
Councilman Sutton,
Here.
Vice President Newburgh.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Right, there is no correspondence. We still have some appointments needed. Any movement for the Planning Commission? Traffic Commission? BZA? Or for the Town Council?
Steve Warrenhammer, we thought that he was a bit, that he's more in a different ward than Ronnie's ward, so.
Gotcha. All right, do we have a motion for approval of the November 6th meeting minutes?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Officers' reports, Planning Commission,
No report,
BZA,
no report,
Traffic Commission,
no report,
Park Board,
Nothing. No report.
Animal Control,
No report.
and Building Commissioner report.
Yes.
So I'll begin with, there's 4 contractor registrations for the amount of $300, 1 accessory building for the amount of $45, 1 addition for $182.32, 1 porch, patio, and deck fee for $30, 2 electrical upgrades for $160, 1 re-inspection for $50, which comes out to a total of $767.32.
Thank you, sir.
And that is it.
Clerk Treasurer reports.
Personnel Committee, no report, Facilities Coordinator, no report, NERC, no report, and other, I have no report.
All right, Public Works.
I just got a few things. I did get the completed wellhead protection update, 5-year update. If you remember, we hired Midwest Resources specially to do that for us. He's done them in the past.
Mhm.
And if you aren't sure, around 2002, they required all the municipalities and all the water utilities to create a manual that identified sources of contamination for your well field. And you had to identify all those. You had to create a fixed delineation, and you had to do an emergency plan in case something happened where you could get sources of water, public updates. There was like 5 sections in that book that we created. And this update is taking that book and updating it according to, I don't know if it's EPA or IDEM that rules that, but we have to do that about every 5 years. So that was what the $2,500 is done. I just have to send it in. It will be that, have that completed. We did have to do a snowplow repair just this last week. Of course, as soon as it snows, then the truck went down, the big truck went down. It ended up to be an injector. We got Dwayne Metz. Dwayne, is that correct? Dwayne Metz identified it. We were pretty sure it was either an injector or the turbo. It'd have to be the injector. So he fixed it. It was like about $1,200, a little $1,200. So we're back in business again. But we had to plow with the little trucks. They had to come in and switch plows around and change some stuff, and ended up with the loader and the 2 small trucks to catch a couple of snows. So, and then I had Jeff Minster help with some extra salting since we couldn't spread any salt and sand. But we're back in business now. We got the truck back yesterday, right?
Yeah, remember we had to put 2 air tanks on that last.
Oh, yeah, yeah, right, we had to put 2 air tanks. The air tanks were at holes, one of them had a hole in it, so. I don't know what that cost was, I can't remember.
They were like $850 a piece.
So we had another 2,000.
We put it all in there, so.
And that truck is a 2002.
Mm-hmm.
looks like brand new, but how many miles it got on it?
I think 34.
4,000. Yeah, but it's still that old.
I think it looks old.
It looks older, yes, for sure.
That salt does a number on it.
But, you know, when you look at the price of the new truck, I know you probably need to think about that, but when you look at the price of the new one, we gave about 100 grand for that one in 2002. I'm gonna guess today, what do you think?
They're at least 250 or to 280 now.
So it's like, whoop. So yeah, $4,000 in repairs for now, until we figure something else out. So, okay, the other thing that I had was the water filter. I think I might have told you guys about the repair that we were planning on doing at the water filter. We did go ahead and contract that with Peerless. And, you know, those never actually go the way you expect it to go, and that one did not. They came with a crew, and that, for you that maybe don't know, that's a big tank divided into 5 cells. Each cell filters 100 gallons a minute, so it's a 500 gallon a minute tank. What do you suppose, that's about 18 feet long? And then it's got a common under drain, so the cells set on a concave or convex section, and the filter's up here, and the water comes through, and then it goes through these diffusers in the floor after it's filtered into this bottom under drain, and then it goes out to the distribution. We had it inspected in 23, and Peerless came out as routine maintenance. We wanted to see what that filter looked like on the inside, and they did a report in 23 that said that the first 3 cells, 1, 2, and 3, had really no real media loss at all. The fourth cell had about, I think, 4 inches of media loss at the top, which was perfectly within range for a filter that's about 20 years old, because that filter was put in 2004. But cell 5 had about 16 inches of filter media that was missing in that. We had a lengthy discussions with us and Peerless. We thought that that cell maybe was getting disrupted more because it's always the first one to get backwashed or the last one to get backwashed. I think it's the first one, it's the last one to get backwashed. So all the other 4 filters are clean, and when they're pushing up, we thought maybe it was pushing that out the drain and into the lagoon, but you couldn't see any in the lagoon. But over a course of 20 years, you know, that's all grass in there. So we assumed the filter media went out that way somewhere. So when they came and opened it up, they also opened the under drain hatch, and we found the filter media. And just to give you some idea, this is the picture that they took of the media that we were looking for. And if you look at that picture to give you orientation, you can see at the top of the picture, those nozzle openings, that's where the water comes through. And at the end of this pipe that you can't see, there's an opening where the water goes out and into the distribution system and up into the tower. So the filter media, there wasn't enough disruption apparently to push it down the pipe, but it's sitting all in the bottom of the filter. So I did not expect that. I've not really, what fooled us was the actual structural integrity of that filter. If you look at it, they said it's got no corrosion. Even the top part, it looked like it still had the paint on it. And you could take your hand and just wipe it off. They said there's no structural issues that they could identify with the tank itself. So the question is, how did the filter media get from the top to the bottom? And the only thing that, I know it's up for discussion, we don't really know. Could there be a defect or something in the floor? Could there be a rotted place in the floor? There could be, but by looking at the rest of it, you can't even see, even on the ribs that go across there, those were nice and crisp, Jeff said. They had no corrosion at all. And so we're kind of thinking that one of the diffusers, when we reviewed the statistics on the diffusers, they now make them out of plastic. And I'd never seen a plastic one before. I've always used stainless steel, but these were plastic, ABS plastic nozzles. So we don't really know how the media got in there. We only know that it has to come out. It needs to be cleaned out. That, at least the cell number 5 has to be excavated all the way to the bottom so we can see the floor and identify why that filter media made it from the top to the bottom. Because it should have never got in there, no matter what, unless the tank was rotted out. And the tank just doesn't, no place else does it look that way. So we can't identify exactly what it is, but what we did do that day, the guys went ahead and shut the thing back up, didn't do anything, shut it back up, we chlorinated it. So for a couple of days, we were using unfiltered water. We were bypass pumping around filtered. It's back in service now, and we're trying to come up with another game plan. We tried to minimize the cost for that day, knowing that they didn't have what they would need to go farther, because they didn't bring the rest of the filter media, because we intended to only put filter media in the top, which is like a green sand type. They brought that, but now we're gonna have to excavate all the way to the bottom. So the cost in 2023 to do it was about $17,800, which we discussed. The new cost was $19,000, about $800. So it went up $2,000 in 2 years. But the dilemma is that filter is probably close to the end of its service life. It was 2004. It's now 21 years old. And the cost to excavate and rebuild that one cylinder, even with new media, it's going to be more than $20,000. The problem is should you just put a whole new media in there? And if one cell costs $20,000, I think originally they were talking, just on a guess, around $65,000
To do all.
to do all of them. So the question is, do you fix the one? What the original was, we fix the one, go back into service, our water quality is still really good, and try to get 5 more years and then reopen it up and take another look at it. Because 3 of the cells, they said, haven't even lost any media. They're good. But you know, as that fine stuff comes up and it rolls around, it's like dirt on the road, you know, and when the semi trucks and the cars run over fast long enough, it's like powder, you know. And the filter media is the same. It rubs against one another and little parts of it want to go off. So I mean, it does have it can be less effective over time, but we didn't see it. The only reason we identified it now was Chuck saw an uptick in your iron through your distribution. We assumed it was cell number 5, and it had lost more media since that time, I think. It lost another
I think it
one.
was down to 21.
Yeah. So that's all in the bottom of that's all the filter media in the bottom. And so we're waiting for Peerless to come back with a cost estimate and options. Obviously, we don't want to do it in the winter. Are you using that cell now, or you got shut off? It's shut off. So we're operating with 4 cells now. We shut that one off so that we didn't get any more down in there. But eventually the decision will have to be made about, once we get costs, and of course the money is always going to be a factor. I mean, the water utility will not be able to sustain this cost out of its own revenue. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't have that kind of money available. So whatever we do, we need to figure that out and then determine where the money's going to come from in order to make that repair. So, and I don't really know. Kurt has been here through the whole, Kurt Kent from Peerless, that's who we're working with, and he's real good about it. So we'll have the meeting, we'll discuss and try to come up with a plan, and then, but ultimately, you guys will have to decide, especially on the money side, you know, how we want to do that once we get the actual cost. So it's not good news, but, you know, I was hoping it would just sail right through and we'd be good for another 5 years, but, so. You got any questions about the picture? Can you see what I'm talking about? That with all the holes, that's the under drain, that's the top that separates the filter from. So all that stuff that's in there, none of that should be in there. That should be completely clear. And it does look like there's a lot in there. I'm surprised it hasn't got out into the distribution system, but I just don't think with as big a filter as that is, it's got enough push to carry it out of there.
You didn't have anthracite on it? There was no anthracite on there?
Tonka called it, Iron Man,
Yeah.
but it was really, like a sand, yeah.
I didn't know they had an anthracite cap on it or not.
Usually I've seen the anthracite, like the old filter,
Yeah.
you'd see the anthracite out in the, yeah, I think when Larry was running that years ago, after they first got in there, I think Larry blew the top off that filter for a couple backwashes. But, yeah, but I've never actually seen it like that in the under drain unless you're just, you got some really bad corrosion issues. And that filter up here, wow, that was just, the water quality was so poor up here that it just ate that filter up. But man, this one, it's just surprising that it would be something other than a defect or something in the,
I bet you got some nozzles.
that's what we think, the nozzles. I would not put plastic nozzles back in myself. I would not do that. How many, you think, Jeff thought, how many were there?
What did you say, 17?
17 in each cell, so 17 times 5, there's 5 cells. But if we have to get in there and it's a nozzle, I wanted to be prepared to change all the nozzles in that cell. If we're just gonna do one cell, I'd prefer to change all the nozzles and not take a chance on one of those plastic ones. If that's what it is. It'll be really interesting that day. There'll be a lot of heads looking in there to figure out what happened, but yeah, this was pretty unexpected. We did not expect it to be there.
Did you talk to Tonka?
We have not, I have not talked to Tonka. I'm sure Kurt probably has, but we haven't, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. The problem is the filter is 21 years old and you go, gee, you know, now you spend 30,000 for trying to get another 5 years, or it's all gonna come down to the money. And we can't really make any decisions till Kurt gets back with, and I'm sure he's pricing that.
So what's our recommendation on a rehab? Just replacing the media and that's it?
As far as,
In whatever nozzles you have.
yeah, I do believe
But
so.
they think the coating looks good, they don't think.
Yes, so far, I think on the coating, the reports that I got, even on the top, Jeff said it still looked like the paint was on there.
And the plenum up above's fine too.
Everything.
Everything was good. They said, gee whiz.
It's
I
just
mean,
like,
that's-
you gotta wipe the iron off the paint.
That's really good. I mean, that's,
We had to say the same about our water tower when we had that inspected in 23 or whenever. And they popped that lid on the top and they said, whoa, we can see all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, it
That
was
is
Dixon,
clear as
right?
hell. They said very rarely did they get, and they said the only place they saw a little corrosion was, I think, on the above the freeboard a little bit, but not much. The paint was still on that thing too. So I think it's a testament to how good the water quality is for the well water. That's the difference, is it's just, it's not as corrosive. I'm telling you,
they're
uptown,
not over chlorinating and on that too. So,
right? And I yeah, the tower, I love the mixer. If it was me, every tower in Indiana, you should have a mixer in there. Because man, that thing really does a nice job. So I want to give you guys the bad news so that next month, that would probably be a spring repair. Not now, we're not gonna run water all over the ground in the winter, so. Anything else, Chuck, you think of? You want to talk about the frontier?
What, Nathan, do you allow bore crews to buy water from you?
It matters which town we're working at, you know, each town's a little different.
You know,
You know,
Frontier, they wanna come back now.
Yeah.
In the middle of the winter.
I wouldn't do it. I won't leave we want to draft a hydrant.
How many locations you get today? You get a bunch, didn't you guys?
So there's a bunch, but thank goodness they didn't have a permit.
I mean, I just don't understand how they think you're gonna be able to locate that and, I mean, it's just,
I don't think that guy cared that Jeff talked to yesterday.
It's,
Jeff wanted them to cancel all the locates,
yeah,
because we had an agreement. No more than 1,500 feet they could call in. And they called in the whole Legion subdivision.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and the problem is that in the back easements, we tried to talk them into going out by the road,
Yeah,
but they're in the back easements, which is where everything's back there. I mean, there are so many things back there that nobody ever directional boards back there without hitting somebody else's. I mean, that's the reason why MediaCom was doing that out there this last time, was because
is there town utilities that have been in the easements much?
the sewer's out by the, or the water's out by the road, sewer's all in the back. So we have all those laterals, all those manholes. And, you know, in the winter,
And how deep are they going?
Well,
They're probably saying
everybody's
about
about
5.
5 foot, you know.
that's
Ridiculous
Yeah.
too.
I mean, NIPSCO had a heck of a time getting that electric line replaced. They actually had to get another easement, a further easement from the property owners and to even take a chance on running that new electric line back behind, that one was in the middle street. I know what's gonna happen is they're gonna hit somebody else's, and then I'm gonna have another contractor trying to get in those backyards, and it's in the winter. So what we figured out was they did get a boring permit. So they're probably gonna apply to the council for a boring permit, but I think that one we need to talk about before it gets approved, if they do the next meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not into that winter.
See, we voted an exemption because we wanted them to put it out front, because there's just water out there. And we was under the assumption they was gonna come back and have another meeting. But when those locates started kicking out yesterday, I mean, you know how it is, you go out and spray the paint,
Oh, yeah.
and then the next day it snows.
It'll be gone the next day.
You know, I don't have time for that.
No, you don't. And I don't know what, I mean,
So right now, they don't have a boring permit, and since you guys won't meet again until January, we're safe for the whole month. And then we'll just have to,
But can you legally stop them from boring in the winter?
They can.
They can?
Yeah.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you guys, I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
Is $50,000 enough for this bond in case they royally screw up catastrophically? We might want to readdress
I
that.
think that needs to be bumped. You know,
well, we decided if they hit anything, we're just gonna call TNA. So, yeah, you might have to bump that a little bit. We're not
That
interested.
one company said that they were having a hard time for the more than 160,000 fund. They were having a hard time for the insurance company to cover that big of a bond. So you might run into that issue as well.
50 grand for the work they're doing?
a bond.
That's just
No, I'm talking about the bond, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that needs to be higher than that. I'm a contractor and I had that $15,000 bond for being in LaPorte County. And if I screw up, it's covered. $50,000, they hit somebody else's stuff, they're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars for repair.
Possibly.
They need to up their
We should
bond.
also consider a fee.
Yeah, I think we need to get a fee involved.
Yeah.
And some of that,
Because these guys are tied up a lot.
yeah.
I can't, even if I put a pencil, the time and the effort, because a lot of times it takes him and Jeff both out there, you know, wait on it, and I mean, it's hours and hours.
Yeah.
And Frontier made money, Swift made money.
Well, I thought we talked about that
Every
not
town's
too long ago.
suffering the same thing.
From these same
We,
things.
you know, we've added part-time people just to do testing, just to take up lab time or whatever, just so you can send it, because not anybody can go out and do the locates, especially on the municipal end of things, because you can't trace half of it.
No.
The record drawings a lot of times are mediocre at best, and it usually goes by logic of where a lot of it is. I mean, you just can't, you can't just paint and say that for sure this is where it's at. It's your best judgment on that.
I tell people that, I think it's a good.
Yeah.
good-
And you guys don't really, because you can't trace your water at all.
And I can't imagine a pothole in January, I mean,
It's ridiculous, and I don't know, you know, and maybe we need to send a letter out to 811. We ought to send a letter and copy Jim Pressel and the elected officials and say, look, this has gotten to the point where it's, where we just can't maintain you, and it's constantly doing this with the way the laws are.
Well, I know we had a couple months ago, possibly instituting a fee for directional bores over a certain footage.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time that we need to rehash that conversation and figure it out.
Even the locates, you know, you get a locate that says, locate, both sides of the street, the entire property, and all they're doing is burying a.
They're doing a cable drop.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I call them up and tell them, I said, I'm not locating all that.
no, that's right. I know Corey's had the same problem in Cows. I know it's been a train wreck.
well, it used to be when Oak Cable came, they generated revenue every year, they had to pay us so much of the gross revenue or something, that was a percentage, and we would get a check every year.
Right.
But you don't get that anymore, I mean, Frontier Reserve, they don't do that now, so there's no way to recoup those costs. So, yeah, we really don't want to be doing that, and so, you know.
Can we dictate how deep they go?
Yeah.
And if they don't go, then what? So if, let's say we say you can't go more than 3 feet, and they bore at 5, and they clip two sewer services. Fines, okay.
Fines and or total cost of repairs.
So that's already covered in the permit.
Okay.
Like any repairs, whether it's to us or other people, like they have to identify us. Like I said, they're pretty much signing away their firstborn by signing this.
Okay.
This is not tested in court. I made that very clear when we instituted it. So this is untested. It is very thorough and very expansive, the most, but it is untested.
I think we tell them they can only go so deep and, you know, stay away from our.
Well, and I think we wanted to know if you guys, back up that we don't want the winter
I agree.
boring, then we know we can push that farther with the contractor and Frontier and say, we're not doing this in the winter.
Yeah, I think that's a good
The fact
start.
It's in the winter, so.
That's a good start.
This is all just revenue generating is all. They want to get it in so they can get more customers. Remember, once they put the main lines in, then you're gonna get the locates for the drops in the backyards again. So, it's really just about revenue. If Frontier can't wait till winter's over, I mean.
March or April.
Yeah. But if you guys back us up, we'll see if we can't get them. I could put that off. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think so.
and then we can talk more about what you want to do with institute a fee and stuff for.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Legalities too, because it has to be reasonable, right?
Right.
You can't just
Right.
charge $10,000.
Right.
So I'll see what the other surrounding localities are doing.
There we go.
As far as winter time, just table. If you don't want it to happen, just table it.
Okay.
Sweet, thank you.
There's something I'd like to bring to your guys' attention as well, for our parcel that's getting split. Nathan, I know you have talked to the guy.
He talked to me once and he was gonna call me back, but I never did.
Understood. Now, I did a lot of research on it. I looked into LaPorte County, I looked into our ordinance, our codes and zoning. From what I have researched and found out, that he is definitely able to do that. All he needs is 60 foot wide for his property for R1C. Now, there's 3 different categories. There's a R1 or R2C, R1C, and R3C for residential, and how wide it needs to be, how long, and all that stuff, and the square footage they need to build on and so forth. Now, with all that said, I think he's within his right to split that parcel legally. I have talked to Nicholas over the phone about it, and I think he agrees as well with all that research that I was doing. So he is gonna move forward. I told him to go ahead and move
Doesn't
forward.
that constitute as a subdivision?
That does not constitute as a subdivision, that is in town. Subdivision is over there. So the subdivision would also have.
I thought, I thought, boy, I don't know.
Is it-
Subdivision would be a total, so yes, you would have to have more room for a subdivision and a wider property, but in town would not be considered a subdivision.
Is this over in Illinois Street?
305 Illinois, yes.
One that they tore?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Yeah.
they tore it down. He has contacted me. I'm a good friend of his wife's or fiance's, and he has asked me to look into it for him, and I did that. But he also said something about Nathan Howell, look into it for him as well, but I'm sure that got tabled. But yeah, I did my best, and to be honest, I really think he is legally able to do that.
How wide is the lot that he's?
60 foot, so he's got
So the-
69 feet,
He's at 69, the other would be 60.
and he needs 60. But you also have to have side yards, you gotta have a frontage 25 feet from a residential road, which he has, which he can, he's got plenty of yard to go all the way back, he can put the house in the backyard, way in the back, it doesn't matter. Now, with the side yards, you gotta be, so, from what I saw was 20 feet, but that's 10 feet from the property line this way and that. So both sides have to be 10 feet. Now, I was also told 5 feet could be a possibility in town for just a lawnmower access point of going through the side. Now, that one I'm not too sure on, but I definitely know the whole 20 feet, 10 feet on each side is definitely the code. But I've also heard in town, it's a little shorter than that, about 5 feet on both sides. So, I think it used to be 3, but now it's 5.
Garages are 3, houses are 10. Now you gotta remember, the lot's 60 feet, 10 on each side.
Yeah.
That leaves 40 feet width for the house. Now, if you're gonna have a garage in the back,
Which
you're gonna have a problem.
Yes.
Because you're gonna have to.
So his plan was, I mean, he's gonna get it surveyed, he's gonna go to the recorder like I told him to. See if they'll approve that, and then he'll gonna come back to us and see if we can approve the permits of it. Of course, he's gonna go up against you, and I'm sure he's already told me about abandonments and stuff like that, go up against you guys, try and win if I deny it, of course. Now, with that being said, he's wanting to build a long house, not a modular, not a, it's gonna be a foundation built house. So I think he's legally okay.
I think we better make sure.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah, absolutely, that's now, like I said, I haven't really approved him at any cost on my side. I have told him to get it surveyed, go to your LaPorte County recorder or assessor, see what they say, then you come back to me. Now, they've already told him it's pretty much up to us. So, but the plans still need to be approved.
What are the lot sizes over there?
That's a big lot there, that's not.
It's got 32,000 square foot.
Like Brainerd's, what we're in,
66 by 132. But most of those lots along there were big lots, like, Bob Hempill's, I don't know if you guys know the name.
Yeah.
But all of those were big lots that were split. And his is one of the big lots that was never split, but,
Donnie Ritter's house,
yeah,
down in section 70 foot off, north to where my daughter lives.
right.
This family did it.
And I think Connie, if you guys know where Connie Wirch lives,
Yeah,
over here, I don't think her last name is Wirch anymore. You guys, anybody familiar with that?
yeah.
Yeah,
Very well.
Wirch.
Yeah.
Listen,
Mister.
Connie
County,
Mister had 2 lots there that ran behind her house and kind of cut her house, and Jean built a house in the middle. When Connie got the house after her parents passed away, she wanted to sell that back half. But the lots were split so that it occupied that. what she wanted to do was she wanted to resplit her lots the opposite direction, because they were 132 by 132, so she just wanted to move the property line, instead of the property line going north and south, split it east and west and create a spare lot over here and then sell it. And if you look, that house that sits there by the alley is the result of that. And because when she did that, that lot complied with size, square footage, and everything else, road frontage, she could do that because it did comply with everything that the book said, setbacks, and I can't remember the size of that. You know, another one that got split, there's numerous ones that have gotten split, but I'm with Nathan. That one over there, it's more about what the minimum road frontage is. I'm not sure where you got 60 feet, was that in the book? or-
60 feet was the wide.
That's how
25
wide-
feet, yeah, you need 25 feet from a residential road
Yeah,
to start.
see, that house has to set in the same line with the rest of the houses. He can't actually build it in the back, he's got to, the code says it has to be in line with all the houses, so you don't have one that gets way back there and then his backyard is your front yard. But,
Eddie's house sits back further than.
yeah, so, and when they're different like that, this is the guy that gets to decide what's reasonable, okay? Because Eddie Falls' house set back farther. And so now you got one setback, one this way and that way, but Blake gets to decide where it's reasonable, whether it needs to be here or a little farther back. But, yeah, whether that lot complies, first you'd have to know what size. You say it's 60 feet wide?
60 feet wide for his resident.
The divided
zone.
zone, was it gonna go all the way back?
Yeah, usually.
Go back to the road,
All the way back to the tree.
or the town's property?
Yeah, 32,000 square foot of that property.
400 and some feet.
So he would keep the obviously it's 129 wide now, right? Is what you were saying?
60 and 69.
60 and 69, right? So it's 100, he's gonna keep the 69 portion for the house that he's redoing now,
Yeah.
and then he wants to split off to 60.
Yeah, I think a subdivision requires 80 feet of road frontage. Subdivision 80 feet, and when it comes to in town, I'd have to look at like Connie's when she split hers. I think hers is, I'm not sure, maybe 66 by 132. I'd have to look.
And there are some lots on Illinois that are actually smaller than 69, 65, and 60. So he, like I said, he will have an argument and he will come to the council with a variance and try to get you guys to approve it as well, even if I deny it. So.
Yeah, I would think before he'd survey it, he'd want to, if he's got a pretty close idea, I think he'd want to, rather than spend money to, and then have trouble here for some reason, you'd want to know ahead of time if, because it isn't really the council that's going to decide this, it's going to be BZA. And you can get exceptions to the setbacks. The 2020, I think the BZA just approved one out there that was less than that for Brian Boss's house.
As long as it doesn't harm the public in any way, or causes any nuisance to the surrounding neighbors. So,
Yeah,
I mean, he definitely has a good argument.
But that's why you go through the whole BZA process, so then you public notice, so then you know,
Yes.
neighbors know what's going
And
on.
that's what I told him. I said, you have to contact your neighbors. You have to get them involved as well. You are building a residential house right next to these people. You can't
I
just,
was thinking through the anytime you split a lot, that had to go before the planning commission.
well, you know, the problem that we had before, Nathan, was people were splitting lots and not coming to the town. And all of a sudden, somebody split a lot. I think Chris Max over here with Daryl. Daryl split that little house off and he just gave that little house enough to just drive in the driveway and it didn't comply with the town codes, but the county recorded it. They said, okay, we're good with that.
And you can get away with that because you're not building a house on it, but building a house.
That's correct. So
Then, and that's why I thought with the subdivision control ordinance, and I could be wrong, that I thought anytime you had you split a lot, you had to,
comply with that.
I thought so.
I have to research that.
It was drawn up.
What?
That's why it was done.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
It has to
That's
come.
exactly right.
That's correct.
Because you gotta understand, a subdivision isn't a it's just, you're subdividing
A lot.
Dividing a lot.
Yes.
Technically, it falls, my understanding is it falls under the subdivision control act. Now, I could be wrong with that.
I mean, I
Talk to the legal counsel, but I think that's,
And that's the way we've always,
yeah. I
That's
think
how it's
so
always
too.
treated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've had numbers of split.
Yeah, and I
I thought the
think,
property over here got split a different way for.
and remember over by Warner's yeah, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, it was a
Something you'd be
very
able to look into,
uncomfortable
Brody.
process.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
specifics,
but.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so we'll start with that. We'll have Blake and Attorney Schaffner work together, figure out all the specifics of it and see exactly how this is going to fall. And then they can come back and say whether it falls underneath the town or a town size lot or the subdivision ordinance. And then move
Now,
forward.
LaPorte County does have different zoning areas for subdivision and in town, and that's just what I was reading.
But that's LaPorte County.
Right, and one and all could be different as well.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So new business, the rainy day transfer. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
So I have a question on that, real quick. Is that the maximum that we could do, that you can do for rainy day? Per fiscal year?
10% and or 25%.
Okay, that's okay.
All right, and now we're on to the boring permit for Mini Comet 202 Casella. Oh, shoot, sorry, yeah. All in favor on the rainy day transfer?
Aye.
I thought I did, but we'll just cover that again, thank you.
During the permit, I looked it over, it was filled out correctly. And it was bound, so it is sufficient.
Who's doing it? Mediacom or the actual?
those two, I'm trying to get that in my head, 202. Whose house is that? Do you know?
No.
They got a picture?
Not a very good one.
Well, maybe they didn't call for it, okay, yeah. I hate it when they're not colors, because you can't. Maybe you can approve it with the, look at it before. Can you do that?
So, yeah.
Make a motion to approve it, for our approval.
I like that motion.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any unfinished business? There's not.
I've got one quick question. Where are we at with the wastewater plant? As far as, how close are we to bid it, or what do you know? Is it in our ball court, or where are we?
Denise today got a new application for IDIM. So
I sent you.
you're not the right yet. They canceled the last one,
So they never answered all those.
not within the 60-day time frame. So the IDIM guy said, so, I don't know.
That was Darman, I think.
And it, huh?
I think that was Darman that was.
I can't pronounce his last name.
And he's been there a long time.
Yeah, so apparently some of the sticking point was the lift station. They wanted this lift station, our main lift station. It looks like they want to add about a $50,000 upgrade to that lift station. Why? Because they have to pump the sewage 20 more feet. And they don't think that those pumps have that capability. So Flowtech was here to gather the information that he required from IDEM. And we haven't heard back, but that was the sticking point, was that they didn't think our lift station was, that our pumps were big enough to pump those.
They've been there for,
And that was IDEM thinking that?
I did.
and they've worked fine for 35 years. Because you're gonna go into an EQ basin.
I know. I think it's crazy. And I mean, to spend the money for 2 new pumps and controls and what IDEM wants, that was part of the sticking point. We didn't have a lift station upgrade in that process. So that's my understanding right now.
Are they they're not wanting to flow control that, are they?
I can't tell you that, Nathan. All I know is that,
I mean, you're already going into an EQ basin, so I mean,
I collected the data that they wanted, the pump sizes, all that, and then Jerry called me from Flowtech and said, hey, I need to come look at your lift station. I said, what for? And he said, well, Lou needs information on the lift station, and they wanted me to come out and look at it, because apparently they weren't comfortable, IDEM wasn't comfortable with the information that we supplied. They wanted Flowtech to come out with that.
seriously.
Yeah, so Jerry came out and I think he said that it looks like maybe those, I didn't want them bigger, so I don't know what those pumps will cost, probably 10 grand a piece, plus whatever the controls, so. And that's, I don't know exactly what they're gonna require, but that was one of the sticking points.
Oh, yeah.
As more stuff got added on to the end of that, so then it went over the 60 days. And so then if we could get an extension, so now they've got to file a new permit app and then should only have a few things to fix then, maybe just the lift station stuff.
Yeah, because that just got signed today, so.
Just got signed today, so that's, yep, yeah. So yeah, we're not close yet.
All right. Do we have approval for the regular monthly claims?
Motion.
In a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. No other business? Any public comments? All right, do we have a motion for adjournment? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Merry Christmas.